Hey everybody, and welcome back to Zmam, Zombies, Movies, and More. Today we're going to take a look at our Star Wars movie rankings. We're going to go from the lowest all the way to the highest. I'm your host, Mike Schilling.
I'm Dustin Shelton.
And we're back here to give you more Star Wars wonderfulness. So, just to hit it off, we're going to have two lists going at the same time so you can actually see as we move up, because obviously our movies are going to vary a little bit. So, to start it off here...
Which surprised me. I thought we'd be pretty similar here. But
yeah.
We were off on a few.
Just moving into this, you have to understand that, obviously we've both been watching Star Wars movies since we've been kids, right?
Yeah.
So, and we've both had probably different experiences growing up and which ones we think. So, you guys are definitely going to disagree on this on some of these for sure. Yeah. But I think Dustin's list is more traditional. I think mine is more non-traditional.
But like you said, it almost changed as we gotten older, and our experiences changed. I think our list would have been different. Obviously there are new movies, but I think our list may have been different 10 years ago.
Without further ado,
let's do it.
We're going to rock in. So
let's do it.
Starting at, all right, so we have 9 movies to rank. This is including Rogue One.
Yeah.
So, last place for me, number 9, is The Last Jedi. So, it goes without saying. If you have not, we're not going to harp on this one. If you have not seen our Last Jedi review, please go and visit it in the comments or in the links below. Please go and visit it. Let's just face it, it was poor writing, a hodgepodge of just a bunch of craziness. They called them character arcs and development. I'd say, what character arcs and development myself?
Yeah, I think that's enough. Watch our video. If you haven't seen it, we spent an hour talking about it. So.
But again, we're going to go side to side here.
Yep, so number 9 for me, I was on the border of The Last Jedi in this one. So mine was The Phantom Menace. I think just overall for me, it was... the first 3 movies in the trilogy, I think it was just too soon to focus on such heavy CGI. Like, it was at an age where it was the turn of the millennium. CGI was, like, kind of roaring in.
That was the biggest thing.
And
Lucas was ready.
I'm sure at the time it was probably, like, still like, oh, that's really cool. But it just doesn't hold up with time. Like, if they would have waited another 5 years...
perfected a little bit more.
To start on that. Like, the movies are just so heavily CGI'd, and it just doesn't hold up well today. And the introduction of Jar Jar... And then
people give him so much shit though, but I gotta be, I mean, my wife and so they're like, she's like, what's the big deal? And I'm like, honestly, I'm not quite sure, because I think to anybody else who's just like trying to enjoy a movie, they're like, look at this silly little bastard. He's kind of fun. It's bringing some fun and laughs. But everybody else is like, going back to, the Gungans and the Ewoks. And I'm like, guys, they're just showing another race. I mean, Jesus, at least it felt Star Wars. I mean,
the movie did feel Star Wars, yes.
True, but again.
And then I think the young Anakin... And Jake Lloyd did, I think, a decent job with what he was given. But
they give him a lot of crap, too. In fact, I think he stopped acting after that movie. Yeah. He was just done.
So, but, like, the whole relationship with Padme and Anakin, when, like, he just looked like he was 10 years younger than her. It was just really threw me off, right?
Well, we'll get up to that.
But it's like, So I think, obviously, Liam Neeson did a great job.
Oh, yeah.
Ewan McGregor did a great job as Obi-Wan, and I think those are
bring him back.
Kind of the things that held up the movie, but it was a close one for me on 9 and 8, but I put Phantom Menace down.
So you have it. Those are our last place ones. Moving up to number 8, I have Clone Wars Episode 2.
Okay.
So Clone Wars was a bit rough. Let's just face it. George Lucas probably has no right to talk anything love-related or story, because there was no really love connection even in the originals. Han and Leia, that was supposed to be it, but it was very even awkward there. At least it was playful. Anakin and Padme, it just looked awkward. Right. It felt awkward. That was a big part of it. They had a lot of those scenes where they're rolling around in the grass fields and acting cutesy and this and that. And you're like, okay, whatever. And I know Appel's gonna love this one. I'm haunted by the kiss you should have never given me. And then, but by the way, Hayden Christensen, I don't think he's honestly an awful actor, but I'm also trying to look at the stuff he had to work with.
Right.
So it's like, if your dialogue sucks anyways, and you don't have any power over it, well, you just got to go with it. So,
what can you do?
Anyways, but it did have some cool scenes. I mean, my son and I, we both loved the huge Jedi battle at the end with the lightsabers. Everybody's just going crazy. And also, they're kind of getting their asses whooped, too. I mean, you got 1,000 lasers shooting at you. And let me see, what other big ones? Oh, God. I mean, the ending battle with everything going on. The Dooku fight was kind of cool between Anakin and Obi-Wan, even them getting their butts whooped some. But either way, so overall, I'm going to put it at number 8. So that's mine.
And I had The Last Jedi at 8 again.
Last Jedi.
I don't think we need to comment much more, but that was a borderline 8 and 9 for me on The Last Jedi.
Okay. So we're moving up the scale. Number 7, I have The Force Awakens. Now, I know this one's down the list a little bit, and a lot of you, I know from our comments at least, a lot of you really hated The Force Awakens as well. A lot of you feel it was just a full repeat of episode 4, the original, Star Wars A New Hope. I will say that I do believe, yes, they took some very safe turns, but Dustin, you said it very eloquently the other day. We were talking, and he was like, he had to, like, rejuvenate the whole series. You know, I mean, we're coming out of nowhere. You had to like get the hype going again. Yeah. You know, I mean, what angles are you gonna go in?
What's the time gap between episode 3 and Force Awakens? Like when was it?
It's like 20, 30 years.
No, I meant actual time from recording. So
recording.
Was it 2004 or 5 on episode 3?
That sounds about right.
So we're about 10 years.
10
years from the last Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm.
So to rejuvenate that franchise again for really a new generation of viewers and making characters that you can relate to and like building stories around these new characters. I think with the original trilogy, the characters were already built for the most part, right? You're going back and looking at characters that you've already established in.
Yep.
And the original trilogy then established those characters for the first 3 movies.
So, I mean, even though it's lower on my list, it's because I enjoy a lot of the other movies a bit more than this one, but I still actually enjoyed the movie overall because it at least felt Star Wars.
Right.
Last Jedi, I did not feel Star Wars. I felt it was a mixture of some Star Wars along with just a bunch of other stuff. Hey-o! Turn it off. Turn it off.
Put your phone on silent, please.
Hey, PlayStation, I ain't got time for you right now. I got to talk to my viewers. So anyways, that's where my episode 7 fell.
And I had the Clone Wars, which I know you just talked about. Was your number?
Go ahead. What were your any other things that you just really disliked about it?
No, I think again, kind of the main themes of the really heavy CGI, and like you said, Hayden Christensen was. I think it was just poor luck for him and kind of what he fell into. I think he is a decent actor. I really like.
Let's get back on that Jedi.
That Jumper movie. Oh. Remember, you see that Jumper movie? I actually kind of like that movie.
I will have to maybe disagree with you on that one a little bit. It. No, wait. Cool concept. Yeah. Absolutely. We don't get off a tangent, but cool concept. Absolutely. The boy, oh boy.
I liked him in Jumper.
I know. Honestly, I saw the movie at least 2 or 3 times, on the TV and stuff. But either way.
But I feel like maybe they tried to show the lighter side of Anakin too much, and like that's what they wanted to focus on.
The conflicting inside of him, right? Mm-hmm. Am I light? Am I dark? And I think he finally started to really figure that out when we got into Revenge of the Sith, which we'll get to that in a minute. But Hayden Christensen, I mean, a lot of people think he kind of destroyed that character, especially we're talking Anakin, we're talking the future Darth Vader. Right. This is the guy, right? And I thought, though, even though I thought kind of this conflicting sorts, like when he saw his mother die and stuff like that. I thought that was really good, but then he starts bringing in that kind of whiny, it's like, I hate them. But is that also because he's young, though?
Yeah.
I mean, young kids, they whine. They don't understand. It's, why me, why me? Anakin's a teenager at the time.
And I think we forget that. I think
people forget it very easily.
I think we do the same with Kylo Ren or Ben Solo. Like
he is young.
I think he's super whiny, but he's really a young kid still, and he's still trying to figure it out. But I think, you get Mace Windu in there in some of those fights. It's pretty cool to see Sam Jackson.
Hell yeah.
Grievous. Cool to see Grievous in the movie. I thought that was a cool.
General Grievous was fun. And Obi-Wan taking him on. I have to kind of wonder. I mean, we were just watching the other day, and he's got the lightsabers going and stuff. And I'm like, Obi-Wan, you in trouble, brother. I mean, you better get going. So,
good luck.
But either way, yeah.
Yeah, so those are just my few thoughts on it.
All right, cool. Are we moving on to number 6?
Number 6.
Number 6. I have, I'm at the Phantom Menace. So I'm going to tell you, and I know Dustin mentioned that this was your last place, so it's kind of funny that I'm already, another 4 rankings on top of yours. Phantom Menace, I'm telling you, besides CGI aside, I actually enjoyed a lot of the characters. I loved Qui-Gon's character. I loved Darth Maul's character. Even in Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan is actually, I think, one of my, if not Luke, Obi-Wan's probably my favorite character overall in general. But anyways, I just thought it was just kind of cool, and it felt like an actual story too. Again, we're talking about Last Jedi and this lack of storytelling. At least there was a story there, But true, CGI probably a little bit overplayed, especially towards the end, and some of those grass field battles and such didn't fully feel realistic, maybe.
But again, at the time, it probably seemed okay because that was the best.
Yeah, and they were
the time.
They're the leaders in the industry,
right?
So if they can't do it, I mean, this because all things aside, Last Jedi at least was beautiful. It was a beautiful movie, you know, just overall the scenery and everything else and the special effects. But
I think that's kind of what with the first 3 movies. I think just like how it changes from the original trilogy. You still had a lot of like sets that were built on, you know.
Yeah.
You had the special effects of the time, which were just stellar. But a lot of the scenes were like hard sets. You know, you could tell they were in a real location.
Absolutely.
And with the first 3 movies, it was just so much CGI that it was like everything just looked fake.
It was a lot of forced CGI.
Kind of took you out of the. It just took me out of the experience a little bit.
But the beginning, I just remember the Phantom Menace. I just from the start when they jump in and you know they obviously they're like go kill them off, and they start coming out and the music starts coming up, and you're just like here we go.
Yeah.
And it felt Star Wars. No goofy humor, no stupid ass whatever. They just got into it. Anyways, that's my number 6.
Okay. 6 for me was Revenge of the Sith. So that was my favorite of the first 3 movies. I'll say that. Obviously,
that is, I have agreed.
Watching Anakin embrace the dark side and kind of how that story played out. Obviously, the battle with Obi-Wan at the end was really well done.
Did you feel that battle again? I still enjoyed it, but did you feel it was a bit long? Remember how they kept going from area to area, staging area?
Yeah.
I mean, because I know
it was a bit long. Yeah.
I mean, by the way, and again, I still loved it. I thought it was just really cool because you know these guys are pissed at each other, you know. But you know they're fighting on that kind of like half mountain. This is towards the end, by the way. But she goes first. They start on the platform when he sees Padme and all that goes down. Then they move, you know, down a hallway and then down. Oh wait, that's right. They go into the control room, which is pretty cool. Love that scene. There was one we were watching the other day. They force push each other, and they're like looking at each other, like, and then you know, what some great moves. I just think that towards the trail end, it was kind of like
drawn out.
It's weird. It's like part of me thinks like it was about right because by the time they do get to the end, they're worn out or this or that, and you know. But then somebody's like, that was a lot of lightsaber.
A little bit, yeah.
But I do love me some lightsabers, so don't let me be the one to ruin.
Yeah, if that's your complaint of the movie, then I would say that's a pretty good.
No, and I'm just gonna bring it. Let's keep the talk going on it. I'm bringing it right up to stage 5 here. Number 5 is Revenge of the Sith for me. Okay. So to keep it going, just because I just did watch it most recently, also. It's just, like you said, his trail to the dark side. That scene when the Emperor, which I just love it anyways, because that dude, which for any of you that don't know, and I'm sure you do, the man who played, I'm sorry I can't rattle his name right this second, but played the Senator Palpatine, is the same guy who played Emperor Palpatine in the originals. But he was like in his 20s or something like that, or early 30s. So they asked him to come back because now he was obviously an older man. I just thought that was super cool. Yeah. I never knew that up until like a year ago or something. So a little trivia for some of you out there. Trivia. But yeah, no, when Mace is in there and he's like, no, lamest part of that movie, lamest part. You send 3 other masters, well, no, I don't think they're all masters, but Jedi to go face the Emperor. And it's badass, you know, Mace pulls out, he goes, in the name of the Republic, you're under arrest. And now that dude rolls in. I remember Stephanie, my wife, she doesn't even watch it. She's sitting there, and all of a sudden, he twirls in, and she's like, holy shit. Because it was, right? Because that was pretty cool. I mean, the idea you could pull something like that off. But if you see the scenes, like, the one guy, I mean, he could have easily taken a swing. He's just kind of like, oh, I fell over. Oh, I fell off the green screen. And I'm just like, and Mason, my wife, he goes, Daddy, why aren't those guys fighting? And I go, I guess they're not that good, Mason. You know, I mean, I'm just kind of like, So that was the worst, I think, scene. But other than that, the rest of the scene with Mace fighting him, and then when Anakin pushes him out that damn window and he just drops to his knees, and that was good acting. I'm sorry.
No, I think he did his best in episode 3. He did. Absolutely. Because I think he had a pretty clear direction at that point of that arc of the character in that movie. Absolutely. So yeah, I thought he did well.
So I guess here you're number 5.
Number 5 was The Force Awakens for me. Okay. We talked about it a little bit before, so I won't harp on it much more. But I liked the movie. I enjoyed it. I think initially when I first watched it, I saw the similarities to A New Hope. Yeah. And obviously I was like, eh. But as I thought about it more, I'm like, okay, if I'm J.J. Abrams and I have to reboot that franchise, what would I do differently? I don't know. He did a pretty good job. Yeah, and I mean, and you got to admit, you're going to have to make some safe bets coming back in because you don't want to screw. Which makes you wonder what was Rian Johnson doing. I think JJ at least tried to keep to the trueness of the Star Wars legacy, and I mean, and bringing back all their cool characters like Han. Han was fun. Somebody in the comments said that that JJ ruined Han and Leia. I'm like, Han is exactly how Han has always been, and if anything,
if he's off on his own doing his thing, that is pretty much what Han was.
That is Han. Yeah.
And the only thing that was probably keeping him with Leia was probably their son, which they lost.
Yeah.
Can you think of that kind of awkwardness between the two? So,
yeah, and that's going to drive a wedge even further. You've got Han, who's a loner already, and then you lose your son like that, and that's going to drive a wedge for sure.
And Carrie Fisher, God rest her soul, nothing against you, but I did feel she looked a little medicated in that movie. I mean, it just her lines weren't very strong, and probably because she didn't have much to work with.
Right.
You know, because they knew she was going to arc build and go bigger in the future movies, but so maybe she was a bit awkward, but that was
Han was
fun, and it was cool. And which sucks, got killed off. A lot of people were happy to see him get killed off. Either way, whatever. But at least he was him, right?
Yeah.
And Rey was kind of cool. You got this up and coming character,
and Rey and Han's relationship,
and the mask, and Kylo, and everything. Which we'll get to that in a minute. But actually, no, we won't because we already passed over. But the destroying of his mask. I know you said just real quick. That was a big no-no.
Yeah.
What did you do?
I hated that part.
What did you do?
When you see in Force Awakens, when you see Kylo Ren come off that ship, and what's the guy's name that had the
Lord Santeca?
Yeah, Santeca. So whenever he's questioning Santeca, and then they find Poe, obviously, and he stops that bolt midair.
It's just like.
And then even the scene when the troopers are bringing Poe by it, and he's kind of looking at it.
He's just like, so that just happened.
And that just felt like an intimidating presence, like Kylo Ren should, and like the main villain should feel.
Plus, struck down an unarmed man who actually knew who he was and this and that, and probably had interactions at some point in life. He's like, I know where you came from. He goes, you're so right. And I mean, perfect acting. I mean, Adam Driver, hats off to you there. But it's like once the mask was revealed. See, I think that's what made Darth Vader so scary. Yes. You didn't see the vulnerable, scarred, burned Anakin underneath. You saw this dark presence. And once you remove that mask, if anything, if they wanted to remove the mask, maybe and reveal him maybe in this movie, to maybe switch things up. But
the mask should have stayed.
Him just getting pissy just because. My master's mad at me and I'm not doing a good enough job, and he's just pissing. I don't know. Oh God, let's stop. Let's stop. Stopping.
But yeah, I did enjoy The Force Awakens. When I have the movie, when I see it on, I'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, it's a good way to toss it.
Han. I think Han was done very well. His relationship with Rey was really good. Some of his lines were just spot on, like Han. Like one of my favorite lines. That's not how the Force works. And it was just perfect. Like
it was, and not to mention they've done that in like future ones and stuff. Because like Rey, how she's able to do everything, and they're like, she has the Force. It makes you better. You're like, that's not how the Force works. Anyways, good stuff. Yeah, I like it.
Okay, number four.
Number four I have is Rogue One. Rogue One, they came back in as a prequel to the original trilogy, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, for nailing the feel and the desperateness of the rebels, and as they're actually just kind of being formed. I mean, maybe they're already formed a bit, but they're still just trying to get their feet together. And the characters, I mean, everybody was really, really cool. I think there's some they kind of missed out on a little bit, kind of like, the guy she meets on Jedi. Pardon me, I'm totally forgetting.
What's his name? Donnie Yen's character?
Chirrut. So Chirrut and Blaze, those are the two guys. So one's the blind guy who's Force sensitive. Yeah. No, those guys were amazing. Yeah. Those guys were awesome. In fact, I fair to say Chirrut was one of my favorite characters.
Agreed.
He was clearly... there's things in the world that I've understood, like there's Force sensitive, which pretty much you have the potential to become a Jedi. You can use the Force. And there's Force attuned, which you are like completely... You are in one with the Force, but you just don't have the full maneuverability to actually move things around and stuff. And so Chirrut was pretty much Force attuned. Yeah. I mean, that last scene when he's heading off, I'm telling you, that character development in that movie, I mean, and a lot of people saw that, this is probably not going to end well for these guys. Yeah. At the very, very end, I'm gonna say, I actually had tears on some of those guys getting taken out. I was just like, man, this just felt so bad because, I mean, these guys were so awesome and they believed in a cause and in each other. Right. And that kind of feeling, it's so hard to build that. And they did it perfectly. Yep. That's my opinion.
Yep. Agreed.
So what's yours?
My number 4 was Return of the Jedi.
Love me some Jedi.
So I just told you I was watching that today before I came over here.
What draws you in the most?
I think Luke's journey in that movie is probably the coolest aspect of it. His time with Yoda, coming back. He sees the good in his father. He's going to bring that, and we talked about it.
Oh, you mean the most evil guy in the universe?
Right.
And he's going to go back and...
But he knows, like, he understands his father has good in him still. He's going to go back and save him. No matter what, he's going to save him.
Yeah.
That's his mission. And
even Vader's kind of like, you remember that scene when they're still on Endor, and he's like, "It's too late for me," and he goes, "The Emperor," and then you're like, "Oh no, Luke, what you got yourself into?"
I guess he's just gonna have to kill me then. Yeah. I guess you'll just have to kill your son, right? He's like,
"Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, my father's truly dead." I think is the line. Either way, but yeah, that's
I'm a Jedi like my father before me. That's my favorite line in the movie.
That's a good one. And do you think that was some of Hamill's strongest?
I do.
Now, I know there are some that say that some felt, and for those who love The Last Jedi, they felt that some of that was the best acting he'd ever done.
Yeah.
I don't feel he was weak. He was not a weak actor in that movie. He just had a weak arc, if you want to call that. I don't even like calling it that. But
yeah, I think his best work was in Return of the Jedi.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we're going to talk more on that because mine's a little higher up the ranking. We'll see that in a minute. So we're at number 3?
Number 3.
Number 3, I have A New Hope. So,
As do I.
Oh, that's right. We matched.
Yep.
Hey, how about
all right, we got one.
We got one out of 9 movies.
Yeah.
So let's just face it. I mean, A New Hope. It was the beginning, 1977. I mean, think all the way back there, and the special effects and the things were being done from a bunch of no-name actors that George Lucas brought in. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
his vision,
bringing
it to life at a time when. Like people couldn't even fathom how do you do that, right? Well, how do you make that movie?
I think some of the other ones that were out around that time, it wasn't a Space Odyssey.
Space Odyssey.
And of course I'm forgetting some of the others, but you were talking things that they were sci-fi, but this just tore open a new fabric in time, pretty much. Yeah. So I mean, and everything as you go along, meeting Obi-Wan Kenobi, Alec Guinness, which actually I found out Alec Guinness was not too fond of his character.
I read a lot about
not Sir Alec Guinness.
I know. Yeah.
But in fact, a cool thing I want to mention to you guys, I just saw on YouTube not long ago, they're actually redoing a CGI scene of Obi-Wan versus Vader on the Death Star, and because people felt that one was very underwhelming. I mean, let's face it, they're like...
if you watch it in succession, you go from Rogue One and that last scene with Vader to you go into the New Hope, and like the next battle scene is Obi-Wan and Vader going...
Like, hold on.
It is pretty funny.
I mean, it's a couple of like old farts fighting, which I mean, Obi-Wan was, and he would have been even older, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, he was at least 15 years, at least probably 12 to 15 years older than Anakin, right? Because I mean, he was training when he was just a little boy, right? So big age range, but anyways, they're gonna redo it, and I'm telling you, I saw just some scenes. It looks good. I'm not talking some like fuzzy. I'm talking like full on CGI, and these guys are getting after it. Nice. Looking so forward to it. We'll get a link to it once we find out more about it. So, but anyways, that was. So, what are your comments on New Hope?
Yeah, I mean, I echo a lot of what you said. I love the movie. It's just number 3 because I like the other 2 better.
Yeah,
but it's a great movie.
Yeah, and from start to finish, just a fun ride. You got Han coming in the end, redeeming himself. So it was the woo.
Yeah, and like you said, it's like all these actors are not established at all. And they're coming in, they do.
Harrison Ford just jumping on set, being like, "Hey, I'm a carpenter, but hey, by the way, I read some lines," and they had to read the lines and then get the damn part. I mean, how many times
the rest
does that
is
happen?
history. Yeah.
I mean, how many times does that happen these days? So that was our number 3. Moving up to number 2. Okay, this is going to shock a lot of people. So I have Empire Strikes Back as number 2. I know that people are going to be like, "Oh, you're out of your damn mind. Empire is the favorite." I'll tell you why it's not my most favorite. Because when I was growing up, we were not blessed with having access to the cable TV as much. So we only had certain ones on VH or whatever. And I watched the hell out of The Last Jedi. And I'm telling you.
Not The Last Jedi.
Oh, pardon me. Thank you. See, Return of the Jedi. You got all these damn names. Can't even come up with a damn good name. But Return of the Jedi. So you have Return of the Jedi. And I just really enjoyed the story. And plus, it gave us full-on closure to the subject, everything that went on. I love the space battles, some of the best I have ever enjoyed. Got Lando up there with little Nia Nub. Nobody knows what he's laughing about, but he's out there, one of my favorite scenes when all this, I don't know what it is, how awesome it is when those ships come out of light speed and they all just all next to each other, and they just come out of it and they're getting ready and he's like, he goes, "We got to get a reading on that thing." And then he goes, "Well, how can they know it? So they don't track." And you're just like, oh, they know, even though we already know what's up. And they all start to, I'm just a kid all again when I watch that movie. So Return of the Jedi, it makes you just feel good. Yes, I realize Ewoks, a sellout, whatever the hell you want to call it. But guys, the movies were made for young ones to enjoy the experience. And remember, we saw when we were kids and now we're older. So we have to remember that this all starts when we're younger, So we have to have some leniency to it all. And if you're like, "No, fuck that," well, you're wrong. I'm sorry. You're just wrong. But either way, we're moving on. Let's get on over to number 2.
So that was your 2 and 1, right?
2 and Dustin here.
So my 2 was Rogue One. And we just talked about it a little bit.
I love that movie.
I loved Rogue One. And when we watched it for the first time.
Oh, the guys went, right?
So it was me, you, and Appel. Appel had the
that's
pre-screen
right. He got us the tickets.
And we watched
Thanks,
it, I think, the night before it released. Thanks, Appel. I was really close to saying that was my favorite Star Wars movie.
It's really good.
Period.
It's really good.
But, like, and I think we talked a little bit about what we like. My favorite part of the movie, and I think a lot of people's favorite part, because I love Darth Vader, that last scene, man.
Oh, my God.
It, like...
Amazing.
It was one of the best scenes and, like, the best feeling to see that come on, because I didn't know it was coming. I did everything I could to avoid any spoilers or any
Mike
material.
had warned us about how that in the previous, before Disney got their hands on it, that there was some kind of some rebels around a campfire or something like that. This is one of the original scenes that were shot. They got leaked, and they're telling stories about this Vader character, and Vader actually comes out and like slaughter, but it was too dark, too messy. So I think that's how they brought it back to this thing. But again, I mean, I think they sold it, right?
Yeah. Oh God. Because you see him briefly in the movie on.
Don't choke on your ass.
Yeah, when he's choking Krennic, which
Krennic.
Say what you want about the line.
Well, no, I mean I think it's good. I mean,
like,
it's good. That's at least humor-ish. You're like, okay, this dude's cynical, but
that last
serious,
scene, man, you just saw the fear in the rebels' eyes as they're running, trying to get this data.
Steals like 4 or 5 weapons at a time.
God.
Slices them. I can't remember what I don't think he threw his lightsaber, but when that one turns around, he's like, "Help me!" I was like, dude, I mean, goosebumps just all the way up.
Good, so good. So like, that movie was just so well done.
It was.
That's number 2 for me. And then I know you said 1 was Return of the Jedi. I have Empire, as a lot of people do, so I fit into that bubble, I guess. But I think to me, it was just a good. You've got that second movie in the trilogy, and like we were talking about this with The Last Jedi. It just really like takes it to that point to where, I mean, you find out Vader is Luke's father, chops his damn hand off, and then it's like it just sets that tone for like how badass this dude is, and like what they have to come up against in Return of the Jedi and what they're going to have to overcome.
It's fully agreeable. I can't. I mean, like I said, the two are on a parallel. I can't even. I mean, part of me just want to say, because I've watched Empire Strikes Back more, obviously, as in the past years with Mason and this and that. But and I'm just like, this is a damn good movie. But my childhood always brings me back to the one. But no, Empire Strikes Back, just everything, like you said, from finding out that he's the father to his time on with Yoda. That was kind of fun. Yeah. And him still leaving, knowing that there's a good chance this could happen. That dark cave scene was always very interesting too. I know Rey had a similar sequence, which I really wish they would have delved into a little bit deeper. These dark side tendencies, and I don't know if the point is that maybe every Jedi has those dark side possibilities, but it's the ones that actually take to it that want power and they want more. So it's interesting. But I did have Return of the Jedi as number 1. And Dustin has Empire Strikes Back as 1. I think there are probably many out there that would fairly agree with that one at least. Maybe not the entire list, but remember, guys, there is 9 whole movies out there with all different kinds of experiences. You may have some, might have been with that chick you broke up with, and you're like, that ruined the movie for you. I don't know. But anyway, that was our list. This has been a little shorter episode than our last one, thank goodness. Yeah. But we wanted you guys to enjoy a little bit more Star Wars talk while we wait for the Han Solo trailer that they say is within days. Which is not a good sign, because it was supposed to come out last week and they keep pushing it. So we'll have another conversation when the trailer drops and give you our thoughts on Solo. But I'm not feeling good. Not so good. Yeah, in fact, I had a little comment in our. I said one of my thoughts for the Han Solo movie are so low. See what I did there? I know. I don't have my drum set. Yeah, well, crickets, all right. But the point being that, I mean, it's not looking good. I mean, and we're going to talk about this later, but hiring voice acting coaches for the lead main character, all the reshoots, which, by the way, I don't want to blame that. Every movie has reshoots. There's even my stupid little zombie series. It's not stupid. Go watch it. Dead Nightmare. It's great. It is great. Dustin's in it. Love it. But we have reshoots, right? I mean, nothing ever turns out the perfect way. Yeah. And I do love Donald Glover. I'm excited to see how he portrays Lando. He's a strong actor. He's just a talented dude. But I don't know the other guy very well. I don't remember his name. But I don't either. And you figure that a lot of the Star Wars movies were based off of no-name actors. But when you get to this point, it's like you might want. I mean, I'm not saying grab the most popular guy out there. You don't go grab like I don't know, Chris Pratt or something like that to pull off a spot like that. But you know, maybe somebody
we'll see.
We'll
We'll see what the trailer looks like when it drops, and
yeah, we'll give a little
have our
talk.
thoughts then, but.
And we'll love to hear all your comments. Please, guys, comment below what you liked about these movies, and which one's your number one, and which one's your least favorite.
Yep.
And we'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you thought we were crazy, hey, go ahead and mention it. I mean, may listen, I don't know, but
you're wrong.
But you're wrong, right? So you heard it from us, Zmam. Welcome back to the Star Wars Talk, and we'll see you next time.
All right, see ya.